you can see those moments that just feel like they are beat for beat out of a like grim fairy tale adaptation. It's just so cool.
We have a bunch of questions from chat. This is from Arilazine. What was the most unexpected thing you learned about Suvi during the children's campaign?
I think I expected to play a child that was a little more game for adventure. And it was so fun to realize that Suvi is the closest I've ever played to my actual self, in that I was a very, very like well-behaved child. So, kind of the thief of adventure is the willingness to Suvi did not want to break rules. She was like, I understand that like the last thing my parents told me before they dropped me off here for the summer was you better listen to grandmother Wren. There's only a couple things in this world that are very bad to do, and it's being impolite and not following orders. So it's so fun to me that in the face of a little wild one and a little Ame who are so game for adventure that want to go take off and like explore and see and do, having Suvi there is just a little narc that was like, absolutely not. We gotta stay inside. What if we just listened quietly for a month and a half? Wouldn't that be fun? And just being a little bit of a bummer as a kid was very fun. And I did not see that coming.
Oh, that's so me.
I know all that like being locked in libraries probably makes you bad with people, and I'm like, we could stop having this conversation at any time.
I attacked myself when I said that. Yes.
I love what you were just telling us about rule following speaks so nicely to something you mentioned earlier, which is the fairy tale vibes that are throughout the children's adventure and throughout so much of this campaign, where clearly we're reaching back to archetype, to nature and myth and folklore to inform things like this very cool and mysterious witch class. But that part of that, of course, and we get this in the preview, is this sense of like there are rules you have to follow when you interact with a fairy tale world. We see that in the Feywild for our Witchlight players out there.
Shout out to Witchlight. That's my jam.
Yeah. Did that arise organically, or was it very much like, oh, we realize we've got fairy tale vibes, here's all the ways that can go?
Oh, I definitely think that was the thing that we discussed. And as we were talking about like the things that inspired us in storytelling, we realized that a lot of like children's stories were like, oh, I remember reading that book too. Oh, I remember The 11th Hour. And like all of these like share, like, yeah, just, oh gosh, I'm now panicking. We have a bunch of like Pinterest boards that are just covered with children's books from like the early to mid 90s that were like, oh, all of us read this at a formative age. And back before you had the ability to widely talk about books you read because you were 4. But as like full adults being like, oh my gosh, do you remember like reading that? So much of story and fairy tale and folklore was absolutely decided upon as the by the group as like the big touch point to begin with. And it would even like, it's going to carry into like the larger world too. But so much of children's stories is about like, stay on the road. A door is an invitation, but you know that if you make this choice, you might never get to go back to where you started. And in a story that's very exciting for a child themselves, like half of these stories are about, and if you do it, you'll probably be eaten by a wolf. You will absolutely die. So these are trying to teach children to play safe and play by the rules, and playing in this weird space where you're like, I am my character, but I also am aware I'm telling a story of the like self-preservation of it all versus knowing that like the adventure doesn't start until someone says, I will step off the path. And yeah, that was a thing we kind of agreed on early and made the children's adventures so fun, because you can see those moments that just feel like they are beat for beat out of a like grim fairy tale adaptation. It's just so cool. It's so fun.
How does that energy carry into the, I suppose, big kid adventure, the adult adventure?
You know, those big kids.
Yeah. You might call them adults.
I think for Suvi specifically, I will only speak to her because
sure, yeah.
I mean, we've done quite a few episodes. We've recorded the first arc of this campaign already, so we've done a lot of work in the space. But yeah, I will absolutely drop the bibliography in the future. Like, required reading, go to the children's section of your local library, but be chill. You're an adult. It's going to be weird. Those shelves are low. Don't take these books from actual children. But yeah.
Spoken like a tall person.
Yeah.
The rest of us don't have to worry about it. They're very convenient.
Like, oh, nice.
Things I didn't consider. Hey, sometimes you get checked with your tall bias, and that's important. That's important these days. That's very good. But all those stories that you like teach children have some sort of echo into the world. Like, it is teaching you how to be a good member of society and a good member of a culture. And I think, yeah, that idea of the importance of rules, the importance of manners, of doing what is correct is important to a wizard for whom magic only occurs if you do the thing correctly. You don't accidentally get the spell right. You learn it, you nail it, and then you do it under pressure. So I think for Suvi, that understanding of like, be a rule follower, listen, learn, observe, and obey is how you get to be a like productive wizard. It's how you get to survive. Like, again, we've talked a little bit about the Empire. I mean, Suvi's story sort of began in the then with like a battle happening. So I don't think it's a tremendous story to say that this is a world that experiences battles and war, that being raised within an empire, knowing that like following orders saves your life. It wins the war and it wins the battle. So knowing that like Suvi was being pushed into a like, if you do not learn to follow rules well, like all the mechanics of society, all the mechanics of warfare, all the mechanics of magic break down. So you must do this thing. And having her learn the lesson well, in that void, and seeing the before time when everything was a little looser, and then knowing that you're going to come back to those people who have a different relationship to the world, to order, and to magic, and having Suvi kind of bump against that as an adult who had to go like, no, you must be good and proper and correct and perfect, and meeting her friends who have absolutely different lived experiences is like a tremendous part of the fun of everyone coming back together at the beginning of the Big Kid campaign.
Fantastic. Really, the joy of a party is coming and being like, I believe this, and everyone else being like, I believe the exact opposite.
Yep.
Discuss.
Yeah. You're like, oh, cool. This is fun. We're going to fight a lot. Interesting.
Is it PvP time or?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I regret in this being a podcast without any video is that you'll never see the number of looks Erica and I like pass to one another and be like, bro, we fighting? Okay. Cool. Let's have time to have a little tiff.
It's not hard to imagine though, given what Suvi given what Suvi says at the end of Then and Now, you know, the way Suvi feels about witches. Like, there is already some animosity there, and it just makes you wonder what the heck Suvi went through from then to now. And now we get to figure out what it is, and I'm very excited.
Is it animosity? Is it blooming love? Is it
right now? Y'all gonna smooch?
Yeah. I mean, it's me and Erica, so you know we've discussed it. Everyone just lean in and kiss. That's the whole campaign.
It's always got to be at least a discussion.
It's got to be on the board. I'm just saying.
Going to another audience cue, Sven TS says, which ends up being more important? Now, again, this might be a light spoiler. So, of her parents' jewelry, the ring or the necklace? And would Suvi answer the same as Aabria?
Oh, golly. The second half of the question is infinitely more interesting to me.
Yes, that's what caught it for me.
Yeah, that's so good. I will not say which is more important because it's definitely a very interesting point in the game. But I definitely know that Suvi would say her father's ring and Aabria would say her mother's necklace.
Ooh.
Oh, I love that.
The one thing I will say is Brendan and I have had many coffee-fueled conversations about like what it means to be a wizard. And in that sort of knowledge and the importance of words and words being powerful, and wizard sort of being stereotypically like a wizard in his tower with a bunch of books, and he's like, go away, I'm doing my magic by myself. That idea of like hoarding knowledge and keeping secrets. I think we alighted on the idea quite quickly that wizards are sort of defined in really weird and important ways by the secrets they choose to keep. And that's where like code names like Soft and Stone and Steel and If and When Suvi, like I will say it's important that you hear Brendan at the very beginning said Suvi's full name. And you're not going to hear that name said aloud by anyone. So wizards are defined by the secrets they keep. And part like the ring is there. It's out. Everyone sees it. It's arcane focus. No one sees the necklace. So that's my little like, ooh, little tease.
This is a bit more of a GMing question, just a general. Are you up for it? Should we stay to Suvi?
Yeah,
what are you feeling? Let's do it.
Let's go.
This is from Dominius2885, who says, how do you maintain sanity GMing for pure chaotic players?
I have never had sanity, and you can't miss what you've never known. I love chaotic players with my entire heart, because I think the algorithm of my brain is constantly playing a permutation game and coming up with like, okay, if I present this, here's like the 8 things off the top of my head I think they will respond with. And there is something just so like the dopamine and delight of being surprised by an answer, I think just makes me so happy that like the work of like, well, that was actually crazy when I think about it, but I'll make it make sense and we'll make it work because it's good for the story and fun for the table. Like all of that comes second to the sort of like spark of like, I wouldn't have thought of that right away. Wow. I wonder how you saw or envisioned this to get to that conclusion in a way that I didn't or couldn't have. Like I love chaotic players. Like they're my favorite thing in the whole world. And I enjoy being them when I do get to be at a table too. Sometimes I'm also like a GM's pet where I'm like, what do you need from me? Do you need a little person that's from the world? I'll be a wizard, Brendan. Give me a little gold star. Thank you. I'll do it. But yeah, I love it. It's just stay chaotic. If you're all the same, then there's no unstoppable.
It's only gonna go right.
Meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're all chaotic, it's what is coming.
Exactly.
But also you are also chaotic. GM. Use that.
Yeah.
The very important one, and I think the most important one that we have to go to is what is Suvi's favorite dinosaur?
Suvi's favorite dinosaur, like Aabria's, is no, it's gonna be different. It has to be different. I think Suvi likes a big triceratops. I think she likes
friend.
Yeah, I think it's because they look big, like they kind of do everything. Like they've got horns for defense and they're big and they're scary, but they do eat plants. I think they are just so foreign looking that they just you can project a lot onto a dinosaur that you know is friendly but looks alien. So yeah, that's her favorite.
I'm so sorry, but the immediate question following that was, what's your favorite? Because
I'm gonna go and say the Indominus Rex from Jurassic World.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
I like an extra spicy T-Rex.
Yeah.
Where they're like, what if we get one and make it worse?
Make it a little worse.
I like that. As someone who's been firmly in her PC villain era for a year and a half, like that feels right. That feels good. This is different. Suvi's different, probably.